This is a basic colored cinema Miku I made in 2023. And this is a second version, also made in 2023. They were both left incomplete from fear of ruining it due to my subpar rendering skills. Now, 2 years later, with newfound courage, I pick up my pen and decide to put an end to this piece once and for all. Truth be told, I want to improve my coloring skills this year, and Miku just happened to be the perfect target. So, thank you for your sacrifice, Miku. It was not in vain. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how this piece turned out despite taking 2 years to complete it. In any case, here's the full breakdown of this drawing. So I like to start my drawings with a sketch. I usually like to start sketching from the head and then slowly work my way down the body. I moved on onto the hands as I felt that the face and the hands were going to be the focal point of the drawing. Then once I got the hand done, I started drawing out the arms and the rest of the body that basically connects to the rest of the focal points. So I must say that there's really no right or wrong way on how you want to start your sketches. I've seen many artists do it in different ways. Here you can kind of ignore like the anatomy mapping. I'm kind of like a anatomy enjoyer, so I do like to go a little bit overboard with anatomy. Next, my layer layout. I think that's something that I should also explain. I should probably talk about my layer layout. I usually like to have a layer for pretty much everything. So I'll have like a layer for my hands, then I'll have a layer for the body. I'll also have a sketch layer for the face and one for the head. So the face and the heads are two separate layers. I usually keep those separate for the simple reason of if I want to adjust the eyes, because let's say the eyes are awkwardly positioned, then I'll be able to change the eyes and resize it very easily if they are on different layers. Same thing with the hair and the eyes and the face. All of those are all separate. The more layer, the better is what I would say. Just enough that you can manage and fix your drawing. I think that's a good amount of layers. Since I already merged my sketch layers, I'll be showing my layer layout with another drawing. Although this one has also been merged to a certain extent, it's good enough to get my point across. And as you can see over here, I actually adjusted the drawing because the proportions were not correct. That's exactly why I have the layers separate. Next, I went to clean up the overall sketch to make it very clean. One thing I definitely suggest with the line art is to make the outline darker on the outside. Pro tip, if you want to make it even more professional, make the line art lighter on the side where the light shines through. On the darker side, the line art can be darker to suggest light and shadow and 3 dimensions. Next, I went ahead to sketch a quick background with some cinnamon roll. I'm not much of a composition or background expert, which is something that I definitely need to work on, but my general idea was just having some balloons and cinnamon roll. Next, I actually just went ahead to add some base colors. I was trying to clean up the line and the colors. The overall sketch is very messy. So over here, you might actually notice something weird happen. I actually forgot to save my drawing. I did save a PNG of it, so basically the final version. I didn't save the actual CSV file. I actually had a half finish time lapse, and then 2 years later I came back to it. I just imported the PNG, the complete version, onto it and drew over it. So here, that's exactly what you are seeing me do. I am trying to clean it up, and I was probably cursing my past self, being like, why the hell did you not save it? Why am I wasting so much time having to fix your mistake? Needless to say, it was a pain to fix this part. Once this part was fixed, I was able to go ahead and add a multiplier layer. So basically, you want to put everything into shadow first, then you slowly work your way in with the light. Everything over here is just pretty much 3 tools. I use an airbrush, then I use the G pen and the eraser basically. It's pretty much just these tools. What you do want to keep in mind when working in this way is full shadows and warm light. And this was really the key takeaway for me in this drawing. I want to keep in mind that the light needs to be warm. Anywhere that the light hit would have an orange hue. So basically what I do is I will take the lasso tool and I will select the area where I want it to be shaded or to be made more light. And then I'll take the airbrush tool, depending on whether it's a shadow or the light. If it's a light, I'll use an orange hue and just airbrush it. For shadow, I will airbrush it with a cooler color such as purple or blue. I actually use some purple and some blue, and then for the light I use orange. You can definitely see that there's more warm light on the clothing. It's very orange, and then on the hair you can see that there's a lot of the darker hues, but there's also a hint of lighter hues, the warmer colors coming in. So overall, what you want to keep in mind is to work with the lasso tool, work with the airbrush tool, and work with the G pen. You want to set your layer to multiply. All of this is drawn in one singular layer. So when I mentioned that all the coloring was done in a single layer, apparently I lied. To avoid confusion and better understanding of my coloring process, I actually use 2 layers, one for light and one for shadow. As you can see, both color layers are clipped to the base drawing, then the light layer is set to overlay and the shadow layer to multiply. For the final touches of this drawing, you want to make a new layer and set it to either overlay or screen, both works, or even soft light. So you can either put it into overlay, screen, or soft light, and then choose the color that you want it to have. For this drawing, I chose pink since I felt like pink would make it more alive, and I set the opacity to 15%. I made a new layer for the orange line that separates, I don't know what the orange line is called, but it's the orange line that separates the light and the shadow. I put all of those lines in another layer, and then I added a chromatic aberration effect to it, which basically gives a kind of glitchy effect. And there you have it. This is the whole process of my Miku drawing. By the way, this is also my very first unscripted video. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. If you hated it, give me a thumbs down. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.